In this episode of the SPS podcast, we're going to talk about how doing less dumb stuff allows you to create an effortless life. If you're looking to do less and get more done, this episode is 100% for you. Welcome to the SPS podcast, the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. Unlocking the secrets of self-performance so you can improve mentally, emotionally, and physically. The goal of this podcast is to help you create even more freedom of time, money, and purpose in your life. And the SPS podcast is brought to you by the 30-day Pro Accelerator program. If you want to find out more about that, check the show notes and click the link and head on over to stephentimoney.com. Let's get into the episode. Hello, welcome to the 20th episode of the SPS podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects. I've mentioned this subject a few times before in earlier podcast episodes, so if you haven't heard those yet, go back and check them out. We're going to be talking about doing less dumb stuff, or as I call it, less dumb shit. And that is how you create an effortless life. And in this podcast, I'm actually going to talk about 4 or 5 of the key takeaways I got from Greg Mckeown's book, Effortless. And if you're looking to read somebody who talks about doing less dumb shit to create more momentum in life, you can't go further than reading Greg Mckeown's work. But in this episode, I want to focus on some ideas from his book, Effortless. And also, I want to talk about doing less dumb stuff, less dumb shit to help you create an effortless life. But to frame this episode, we're going to talk about a quote quickly. And this one comes from Ben Mitchell. Ben Mitchell really sums up how difficult it is to actually create an effortless life, or how difficult it can be to remove the dumb shit from your life. And Ben Mitchell said, it takes a lot of effort to make something look effortless. And he is 100% right. While I believe in my own life and with the work I've done on my clients, it is a lot easier to remove the dumb stuff to make progress than it is to add a whole bunch of habits and a whole bunch of strategies into your life. While that is easier, it is still a lot of effort. It still takes a lot of hard work, but it is easier to remove the dumb shit. And that's why anytime I work with somebody one-on-one, the first thing I do is really look at removing all the dumb shit from their life, because generally it's actually the dumb stuff that is holding you back from creating more success, because you're usually doing a handful of things right, but it's the more than a handful of dumb stuff that you're doing wrong that's holding you back. So the first steps of creating an effortless life is to stop giving the bad things in your life power. Stop suppressing your energy in life with dumb shit. Overeating, Netflix binges, weekends of no sleep, overuse of sugar or stimulants, overuse of social media. The healthier you get, the more effortless success in life becomes, because you remove all the stuff that makes success hard, that put friction between you and success. So when you're doing all that dumb shit, when you're chasing dopamine with no effort, you're making life more difficult for yourself. Every success journey starts somewhere, and to master the art of results, you need to review where your energy is being depleted. You need to review where dumb shit is slowing you down. And the best way to do that is to take 5 or 10 minutes and ask yourself, what actions do I do each day that deplete my energy? It's a pretty straightforward exercise. Now, when I'm working one-on-one with my clients, I do use more complex exercises, but essentially this is the umbrella or overreaching question. What actions are you doing on a daily basis that deplete your energy? What's the dumb shit that you're doing? Then, once you've got that list, take another 10 or 15 minutes and make a plan to remove these actions from your life over the coming weeks. That is one of the most simplest exercises that you should do if you're trying to improve your self-performance. It's the first exercise, in fact, you should do. Creating a dumb shit list is essential to moving forward. It is essential to creating an effortless life. I want to talk a little bit more about what I learned from reading Effortless by Greg Mckeown. The idea of having an effortless life sounds very appealing. But to have an effortless life, you must put effort into understanding how to create one. Yeah, that's right. It sounds like a bit of a paradox that to have an effortless life, you've got to put effort into it. Going back to the Ben Mitchell quote at the start of the podcast. So the book Effortless by Greg Mckeown is split into 3 parts, and I've pulled out my favorite concept from each part because it would take me an hour to go through a proper review of the book. So I've pulled out the big hitting concepts that really help you do less dumb shit. So let's jump into it. Part 1 of the book Effortless talks about the effortless state. You experience this state when you're physically rested, emotionally unburdened, and mentally energized. That's how he puts it in the book. You're completely aware of the present and you're focused on what is essential at the moment, and you can focus on what matters most with ease. It's a brilliant state to be in, the effortless state. Now, I would say that this is the state of not doing dumb shit. This is the state of only doing stuff that's good for you. You are focused on your goals, you have your vision, you have your plan, and everything that you do is going towards improving your life mentally, emotionally, and physically. Now, the big takeaway from the first part of the book was rest. I've talked about this, and I will talk about this again. I am 100% convinced that peak results come from peak recovery. If you're always doing dumb shit, if you're always tired, if you're always working, if you're always chasing your dreams, you're not going to get there. But if you're taking the time to have free days, if you're taking the time to rest and relax, if you're taking the time to take a step back and review what's going on and do some good stuff in your life, you will get the success quicker. So the art of doing nothing is extremely important in your life. The art of rest. Do not do more today than you can completely recover from by tomorrow. That's the big statement that I really pulled out and highlighted from this part of the book. Now, what this means is, yeah, if you go hammer and tongs, you go really hard at it one day, and you've done this, I've done this, or you go at it really hard for a couple of days, then you crash and burn. So the idea is that, yeah, do your 2 or 3 things each day, but even if you get those done, give yourself time to rest. Don't think, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I got everything I wanted to get done today. Why don't I start doing more stuff? No. Take time to rest, because tomorrow you should have another 3 things that you want to do. And just because you got your 3 things done quickly on one day doesn't mean you should rush in and start doing other things, because that's how you create stress. That's how you burn yourself out. The best way to make sure you don't burn yourself out is to make sure that you're breaking down your essential daily work into 3 sessions, no more of about 90 minutes. Just like I talked about there, when you've got 3 things to do for your day and you get them done, that's you done for the day. Set up your days so your next day is effortless. That's exactly what Greg Mckeown is saying here, and that's where I really agree with this, because it's dumb shit to put lots on your plate, and it's dumb shit to work 24/7, 365. Hustle culture is dumb shit, so we need to avoid that. The second part of Greg Mckeown's book is all about effortless action. Now, he talks about it like this: you accomplish more by trying less. It's very Yoda-like, but I 100% agree with that. The less dumb shit you do, the less chasing you do, the faster you're going to get to your results. When you know that you can accomplish more by trying less, this helps you stop procrastinating as you focus on the obvious next step. Now, if you have really good goals, really good vision, really good plans, you'll always know what your next step is. But if you don't have good goals, good vision, good plans, you will procrastinate because you won't know what the next step is, and you will do dumb shit. So effortless action comes from having great goals and vision and planning. You make progress by pacing yourself rather than powering through. This goes back to the first concept of rest, but you achieve more by not overexerting yourself. I've experienced this exact piece of knowledge in my life, in my business, where I was squeezing too hard, chasing stuff into my business, and it didn't work out. And then when I took a step back and didn't chase, all of a sudden things worked out. It's happened to me on the sports field, playing football, running around angry, chasing the game, getting mad, then taking a couple of minutes just to relax at halftime and meditate out of it, and then realizing I was chasing and being in my head and being angry. And then in the second half, boom, playing much better, having a better touch, flowing with the game, and just generally having a better time. This is because I stopped overexerting myself. And if you're currently listening to this podcast and you feel like you're always overexerting yourself on a daily basis, you're heading for a crash. That is not how you create an effortless life. That is how you create a life full of dumb shit, if you get what I mean. Now, the big takeaway for this chapter of the book, which was action, was the concept of defining. When you start a project, first define what done looks like. What does success look like? Now, when you know exactly what you want to achieve, when you know the outcome of the goal, when you know the outcome of the project, it is a lot easier for you to establish clear conditions for success. And when you get there, you know to stop. Because a lot of times people don't know when to stop, and then they keep exerting themselves, and then they crash and burn. When you know where the finish line is, you can stop and be like, oh, I've created success in this and I can move on. Or you also then know how many steps you've got to go until you've created that success. If you use this idea daily, all you have to do is take 60 seconds to write down what done looks like for the day. Now, I'm taking this concept for maybe a year or 6 months or a quarter, whatever that is that you've built this project, but you can really bring this idea of define into one day. Now, you might have heard of the concept of the one big thing. I think it's OBG, the one big goal, they call it. But this is the same idea. You can define what success looks like for you every single day. You can write out in the morning, I want to complete these 3 things. I want to be in a good mood. I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to do this. And then every single day, you write out a list of what done looks like. You don't overexert yourself. You make sure it's easy enough. Not too easy, but you're capable of actually achieving all those goals. And then every single day, you achieve those goals. And you just keep winning and you keep stacking those wins. And that creates an effortless life because you're making success effortless in your life by every day writing out what you think success looks like and what done looks like for each day. Really, really simple concept. A lot of people don't do it. It really helps create an effortless life and it helps you do less dumb shit each day because you know what success looks like. Make this list achievable, as I mentioned, and you will create effortless days. Simple as. Third part of the book, Effortless, is all about effortless results. And isn't that what we all want? We all want results just to come to us effortlessly. And it can, and they will, the less you do dumb stuff, the less you do dumb shit. As you work in an effortless state and as you take effortless actions, you achieve the results you want more easily. But you want results to flow to you with as little additional effort as possible. That's why you now create systems for your day to allow you to create effortless results. Now, systems for your day goes back to what I talked about in the last section about what does success look like for me each day. That is a system. If you get up every morning and you review your days and you plan and you write out a goal of what success will look like for you in that day, that is an effortless system that will create effortless results. Another effortless system is going back to the first comment where I talked about working in groups of 3. I have a system, 3 productivity zones a day, and I teach it to my clients. It's around Big Rocks by Stephen Covey, where we have 3 big rocks for each day. You have 15 for the week, and that's it. If you have more than 15 big rocks for your week, more than 3 a day, you're doing dumb shit. And that is an effortless system because you have these rules and these parameters built for each of your days. And what that allows you to do is you can focus more on what you have to do, and then you do less dumb shit because you're making success inevitable for you by creating these effortless systems that allow you to get effortless results. It's really simple, but nobody said it was easy. It's simple to do, but you've got to put a lot of effort into making it happen. Now, the final takeaway from the book that I want to talk about, this is from the third part. He talks about learning, because you got to learn these principles to create an effortless life. You have to learn the principles, not just the facts and the method. This is taking the idea of knowledge plus action equals skills into practice. Understanding the key principles deeply and then applying them and then repeatedly doing them. That's how you actually create skills in your life. Reading lots of books, talking about the ideas will give you about 10, 20, maybe 30% of your learning. But to really get those skills, you've got to apply what you're learning. You've got to go and embed these systems and use these systems on a daily basis if you want to create an effortless life and if you want to create effortless results, you've got to know more than just understanding the concepts. You've actually got to use them in your life and actually make them part of who you are. We'll all do these things differently, individually, day to day to day. We all make everything we do our own. We can take ideas from other people. We can read ideas in books like this because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, because that's stupid. Trying to reinvent the wheel or coming out with a better wheel is pointless. You're just going to waste a lot of energy doing that. So you take the principle of the wheel and you say to yourself, well, how can I use this wheel in my life? How can I use a wheel and a cart and a horse in my life to pull me from A to B? And that's smart thinking, because you're using what other people have already created, and then you're asking yourself, well, how can I apply this into my day and my life to help me create effortless results and for me to do less dumb shit? So use the principles I've talked about and then develop your own unique style. And this will create endless opportunities for you, which will then create an effortless life for you. Really that simple. The more that you use the ideas you learn, the more effortless your life will become, and ultimately the less dumb shit you will do. Now, there are lots of ideas in Greg Mckeown's book, and I highly recommend that you go and read it. But because there's so many ideas, I wanted to share one more. I wanted to share one more idea that stood out for me. And I'm going to bonus takeaway in the 20th episode of the SPS podcast, the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. I wanted to talk about invert. Now, what the hell am I talking about when I talk about invert? Well, Greg Mckeown states it like this. Don't ask, why is this so hard? Invert the question and ask, what if this could be easy? What a brilliant question. Now, I've heard Tim Ferriss talk about this question. I've used this question before in my own life. I've used it on the soccer pitch. I've used it in business. I've used it in project management, in the corporate world, where we've built a system and then I've asked, can we make this easier? When you frame things as hard, you're trying to solve the whole puzzle all at once. The whole system's hard. Everything's hard. But when you ask, can we make this easier? You actually start thinking about the steps. You actually start thinking about the process. Now, in project management, we talk about process mapping. In customer service, we talk about the customer journey. You might have onboarding processes in your organization. You might have processes of how you create content. Whatever that is, you may have specific steps for a number of different habits, processes, systems in your life and in your business. Now, when you think that the whole process is hard, you'll sit and stare at it and you'll get a headache. But when you start asking, well, can we make these steps easier? Can we make this easier to help people get from A to B to C to D? You start breaking things down, as I said, into specific steps, and you actually start seeing where you may have a blockage, a barrier, or you might see where you have excess steps or steps that no longer serve you because things have changed. And that's why this question and this last part, invert, I felt it stood out on its own, because there are probably processes in your life right now that you're doing dumb shit with, that don't need to be A, B, C, D, that only need to be A, D. And asking this type of question is an effortless question. It is a question that will allow you to do less dumb shit. Now, go and make your life more effective and more effortless and start doing less dumb shit daily. I hope you've enjoyed the 20th episode of the SPS podcast of the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. As always, please send me a message on my social medias and let me know what you think of the podcast. You can hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Stephen Timoney. That's at STEVETIMONEY. Or you can slide on over to my main website where I use my full name at stephentimoney.com, STEPHENTIMONEY.com. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what you think of the podcast, and I would love to do an episode around a problem or something that you want to get solved in your life where I can provide you a solution around your self-performance. Anyway, I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode of the SPS podcast. Make it a good one.